While schools are closed to all but the children of key workers and the most vulnerable, nurseries have remained open throughout the latest lockdown in England. But a survey of providers has found that nearly half of nursery and preschool staff don't feel safe at work, while almost two-thirds of nurseries and preschools say there's a chance they may soon have to temporarily close because of staff shortages. And it's estimated that around 31,000 nursery and preschool staff have tested positive for COVID since the start of December. Well, I'm joined now by Neil Leitch, the Chief Executive of the Early Years Alliance, who carried out the survey. Thank you so much for talking to us, Neil. I mean, these numbers are, astounding, but almost unexpected. Where do you stand in this debate as to whether they should remain open or shut, just like schools have?
Well, to be clear, I don't think it's for us to determine whether a childminder, a nursery or a preschool should stay open or closed. And I don't think it's for government to determine that either. They know their businesses better than anybody, so they will make that decision. But what I do think is not unreasonable for us to be protected from a physical aspects and protected financially. Government asked us to stay open, and right from day one, actually, we've been asked to stay open for critical workers and essential workers, and we've done it. And at that particular point in time, if we go back a few months, the clinical evidence was incredibly poor, and yet we stayed open, and you would have practitioners go home in the evening, they would turn the television on and they would see that 1,000 people had died. It's not unreasonable that we are protected. So we're asking for protection, priorities in vaccinations and mass testing on the same basis that government have given it to schools. Not that we have to roll out into the community, take time out of work, maybe travel 15 miles. We just want reasonable support.
Now, presumably, there are many nurseries up and down the country who have put their own sort of frameworks in place in order to be able to try and keep both the kids safe and workers safe as well. And have they had financial support for that?
Well, it is interesting that up until December, we did have government recognised that, we have these challenges. We've been underfunded. We've been neglected for years, frankly. So government recognised that many settings, I would suggest, would go by the wayside. So until December, they did put in financial support, but they withdrew that actually in December. So we're now into another crisis. Why wouldn't you automatically reinstate that funding? Anybody in their right mind would do it. But somehow, when it comes to early years, we're treated differently to every other part of the education system.
And when you're talking to staff managers, staff themselves who are in nurseries across the country, how do they feel about going in every day and then going home to their families?
Well, obviously, some are concerned, but they also recognise, the value of early years. You can perhaps have a 12 and a 13-year-old occupy themselves for a couple of hours. But for parents who are working at home, this is a pretty critical service. To have a 2 and 3-year-old around your ankles while you're trying to do a job, and many people are still trying to do that. Of course, they have to have support. Our colleagues know that is the case. But I come back to this point. They need to be protected, and action needs to be taken right now.
OK, Neil Leitch, thank you so much for talking to us.